Hey, what's going on guys, Mixuba here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at a IZZET Spells deck for standard best of 1. So, in Adventures into the Forgotten Realm, this deck got a huge upgrade in the form of Demilich. So I'm pretty sure most of you have seen this card. It's been all over Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. It costs 4 blue, and it costs 1 blue less to cast for each instant or sorcery you've cast this turn. So it kind of acts as a pseudo Stormwing entity. As long as we cast spells, it gets discounted. Then it also has other static abilities where whenever it attacks, you exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, copy it, you may cast that copy. So as long as this thing gets to attack, it's getting you free value out of the graveyard. An important thing to note is that you don't get to cast the card for free. You do have to pay its mana cost. That's one thing that I've noticed a couple people getting wrong with the card. But yeah, let's say you exile an expressive iteration, you still have to pay your 2 mana. And lastly, the thing has like a pseudo escape mechanic. You can reanimate it from your graveyard by exiling 4 instant and or sorcery cards from your graveyard and paying its mana cost. So basically, that mana cost will also get discounted from the graveyard. This thing is great in grindier matchups and control mirrors. It's good against aggro for taking over the game after you've played a sort of mid-range game, and it's good against rogues for cleaning out your yard and acting as an escape card like Clink to Dust or like Uro used to. So aside from that, we have a fairly standard IZZET Spells deck. We have the prowess creatures like Sprite Dragon and Stormwing Entity, and these creatures are the main reason we're not playing standard 2022, or sorry, 2021? Yeah, my bad. Yeah, it's the main reason we're playing that standard. Or is it 2022? I have to double check. Basically, the current standard rotated early format, we don't have access to the prowess cards, so I feel like we have to run them in order to get all we can out of the Lich. Other cards you don't get to run are Brazen Borrower or Bone Crusher Giant, just really solid IZZET tempo cards. The free spells and the adventure creatures on the other half are super OP, you guys know them. Eldraine, it's rotating soon, but for now we still have to play them. Aside from that, we have Shock, Opt, Crash Through, just 1 mana cantrips, feed your entity, beef up your entity, feed your Lich's cost, feed its escape cost, buff up your Sprite Dragon. They're really good cards. Iteration, your 2 mana draw 2 helps you hit your lands, helps you find more action. You can iteration on turn 4 and then cast a entity off of it. Stuff like that. Really good card. One dispute, because I found myself having trouble in ultimatum matchups and control matchups, I ended up on the draw a lot today. Like 80% on the draw type thing. It was really disgusting. And this deck really benefits from being on the play. You win by a knife's edge. It's not very close, the games. Either like you win, or sorry, the games are very close. Either you win by a little bit or you lose by a little bit. So Mystical Dispute, especially on the draw against Ultimatum, can really help you get there. Command helps put your Lich in the yard. You can also just discard cards that aren't as useful. You can use the Shock. Today I use the Draw 2, Ditch 2 and the Shock a lot. Use the Treasure sometimes, and I blew up a couple Ember Cleaves here and there. And for the mana base, so we're not running too many of these man lands because we really want our lands to come in untapped and we want our colors to be good. We still need a lot of red, like we have a lot of red 1-pips, which is why we're still running 7 red sources. And 1 Den of the Bugbear. This card actually came in really handy. I played against Rogues, Mono Black Control, Dimir Control, and having a man land that would create 1/1s is super important. Because of these, people are running more Fields of Ruin, so just be cognizant of that. And I wouldn't stack your deck full of these man lands unless they're like monocolored decks. I think 1 is worth it, but I don't think I'd play any more. And definitely the cheaper one, because we're not often getting to enough mana to activate the blue one. And aside from that, yeah, we have Snarls and Pathways just help you with mana fixing, and a bunch of basics to help your Snarls enter untapped. So guys, deck list will be in the description down below as always. If you like the deck, be sure to drop a like on the video and consider subscribing. It motivates me to make more content. So that's gonna be it for me, guys. Be sure to look forward to daily uploads, and let's get into some games. Alright, hand is good. We're missing some blue mana, but hopefully the discount from Demilich can help pay for it. Tapped Vantress. I'm gonna just cycle Crash Through on 1. Just try to get through the deck. Okay, we find a Shock. Not bad. Against Castle Vantress, I'm not sure what to expect. And it's a control deck. Okay. Opponent scries right away. I mean, we also have given away that we are IZZET Spells. I'm going to bounce this Brazen Borrower right now. Oh, sorry, bounce the Maze Mind Tome right now. Opponent put a stop on upkeep. They're missing land. I'm not even sure if they scried to the top. I wasn't really paying attention. If they do nothing and just play their tome, then I just blow it up with the command, right? Okay. Interesting. What are we going for? We're going for nothing. Opponent does nothing. Drawing Mountain here is really awkward. I wanted the blue source to have access to the Brazen Borrower. I can Shock and Stomp. That's only 2 spells, so Demilich is uncastable just yet. I could just play Iteration, try to find blue, but I think we just play our lands out as is. Maybe I'll command on my opponent's turn to blow up the tome. And if the opponent Field of Ruins, we can just grab a... Do I want to use a spell here? I can, like, pseudo-ramp myself. I could just throw a shock at their face. Oh, I know. I can get blue. I'm going to tap this for blue. Resolve this. Get another blue source. And then I can play Brazen Borrower. I don't hate that. Let's go. And we get to hold open Shock for whatever reason. That's actually really funny. If the opponent wants to, like, play land, play tome, that's fine. Yeah. There it is. Land plus tome. Are you gonna board wipe my 3/1 flyer? No, just Maze Mind Tome. Okay. That's pretty much what I expected. I want to save this Shock to discount this Demilich. More Demiliches, nice. So, blow up Artifact, draw 2, ditch 2. Try to find more blue sources, and we can start putting these in the yard. Or access mountains. Opponent will draw. Draw 2, we can discard Demilich. And what else? I guess, like, a Shock isn't great, and we still get to keep our land. Or is it better to just discard land and Shock? I guess Shock can also act as discount for the Lich and damage. So I think it's just Lich and land. And I'll play this on blue, not get to hold open Shock, but I think that's fine. I'm worried about a Cling to Dust on my yard. We've seen no cards but the Maze Mind Tome so far. Okay. Interesting. We'll start with an Iteration. See where we go from there. Saw it coming. Negate. Saw it coming. Okay, that's fine. If this was an untapped land, I could go Shock, Shock, and then play Demilich. But it's fine, we play this tapped. Get in there, and we might Stomp Face on the opponent's turn. Midnight Clock, okay. Well, at least we have some Artifact hate in the main deck. And Foretell, so I'm going to Stomp Face now, just keep dwindling my opponent's life total down. Den, tap land. So I can go... Okay, we're going to start by attacking. Now, this is an odd and this is an even, so I kind of want to get this down. I'm going to Shock Face. And I can play the one from my hand or my yard. If I play from the yard, what do I have to exile? My entire graveyard of spells, which I don't really want to do. So I'm going to cast the one in my hand. Instead of just playing out the Bone Crusher Giant and right into Extinction Event. Or Shadow's Verdict. We play a card that gets around both of them. What's it going to be? And then the opponent's just dead if they tap all their mana to deal with like a Brazen Borrower. And if they deal with the Demilich, then they're almost dead. And we get there. Sweet. Not that many resources left, but we could just grind for a while with the Lich. It's such a sweet card. Okay, let's go. Hand is really good. We have untapped red into Crash Through into Sprite Dragon and some removal. So let's hope we're against something aggressive. Then coming up here and there in my games, I have been on the draw a lot though. It's been a tough day with this deck. I want to try out more new cards for it too, but I feel like that's more of a standard 2022 queue, and I don't know how good Demilich is going to be in that queue. Because we don't have access to any of the adventure creatures or any of the prowess creatures like Sprite Dragon or Stormwing Entity. And I know that Sprite Dragon doesn't actually have prowess, but it's the whenever you cast it on creature spell clause. So it's like kind of prowess. Now, does my opponent want to play some Magic, or are they just gonna fucking chill here? Because it's like 2:30 in the morning. I've been recording for an hour and a half, and I'm trying to get some good games. And I'm getting really tired. Alright, here we go. Untapped red into Crash Through. And we find an opt, not bad. Blue mana. Alright. Sprite Dragon, let's go. And we swing in. Nothing yet. Fake Theros land, by the way. And opponents on mill. Our favorite of the decks. Mill some liches, please. That would be very good. But for now, we can start with iteration. Hand. Sprite Dragon. We can go library. Well, what do I want, right? So I guess library, and then we exile the pathway. Now, am I gonna play it on blue and then play opt? I think so. Even though we might want double red at some point, we'll find it. That's technically double red, but I think we're capable of finding actual red sources like that. I don't want to keep lands. I want to keep action with my opts. Especially when we have our next land drop secured. Let's go, mill some liches. And drown. Okay. Not ideal, but it is what it is. Something's holding priority with 1 mana. So, a couple options here. I can play Sprite Dragon and hold open Bone Crusher Giant for what looks like a Thieves Guild Enforcer. I can double shock this Rune Crab and play the Lich. I kind of like Sprite Dragon, and then we try to stomp something. Even though that might seem a bit weird. See, is there nothing holding priority? I swear I thought there was something holding priority. Okay, well, in either way, in any case, we have Sprite Dragon on the board. And it's not like I could check before playing Sprite Dragon. The thing has haste. We kind of need it to connect. Let's go. Let's mill some liches. And we mill a lich. We did it, guys. Simulacrum. Well, at least we can stomp that. So, not very punished. Is this just the mere mill? I'm honestly not sure. It looks like Demir Mill, it looks like Rogues, but they're playing Simulacrum and no companion. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna stomp, beef up the boy. So opponent's on Sultai Mill. Strange. Definitely strange. Okay, so what, double shock on the crab into a Demilich? Seems fine. 1, and we get to beef up the Sprite Dragon the whole time. 2, play out our land. And we can play the Lich. This board dies to Extinction Event, which would be very sad. 1, 2... I guess we can drop off 1 iteration, but I kind of want my iterations there. So I guess we just get rid of more crash throughs. 3 and like... Yeah, crash through seems fine, right? Maybe 1 opt because trample might be relevant. Sure. Extinction Event would be very sad here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would have 6 mana next turn. So we can't even go Lich into Bone Crusher Giant. But if this thing sticks around, then we start casting free spells. And we're very happy. Or not free spells, but we get to buy back our spells. Okay. Drown as removal spell on the Sprite Dragon. So are we going to see another removal spell, or does the opponent just not respect the Lich? Tutelage. I just don't think the opponent respects the Lich. Nice. Mill me some more. Okay. Alright. So what am I buying back? I think Iteration. And I'm just playing Giant as well to have another threat. I could have also animated my land, but I kind of just like getting more card advantage with these. Yeah. Auto pay. Alright, sweet. Hand. Library exile. Just tons of land. Okay. I'm not going to play other Lich. I'm going to play around an Extinction Event. And we're just going to slam the Giant. Am I dead to a... Into the Story? I honestly don't know, and I'm not going to do the mill math. It's way too late in the morning to do that. But Sultai Mill, huh? I wonder what the green's for. The Dimir mana is fairly, you know, self-explanatory. So, I think we play Sprite Dragon and try to animate the den as well. So, gonna play Dual Land. And I'm gonna do that. And we're gonna go for a Sprite Dragon first. This costs 4 mana to animate. I think we just do this, right? Animate the den. And the opponent has a ton of stuff to deal with. So this is 7, or this is 7, this is 5. Plus we're gonna have another 1. So 13 total power. And we don't have any more mana, so we're gonna decline on that. Because unlike Faceless Haven, the den does not have vigilance. So what's it going to be? Does the opponent have any rogues to stay alive? Do they have Into the Story at instant speed to mill me out? If that even mills me out. It would be 2 cards per mill. So, sorry, mill 2 per draw. So they would draw 4 cards, mill me for 8. So yeah, we definitely survive it Into the Story. They cycle a shark. I think they're still dead, right? Mill me a bit more. And they can eat like the Lich, but then they're just dead to everything else. So look at us beating Sultai Mill. Now what a jank match. You know what? It's cool. It was fun. We got to use the land. We got to reanimate some Liches. Pretty sweet game all in all. Okay, on the draw, as usual. Let's go. Hand is pretty good. We have a ton of cantrips, some interaction, even more card draw. On a tapped Snarl. Interesting. So I'm expecting a creature on 2. I really am. Or I'm not sure what the opponent kept. So that makes me want to play this on red. It also means we get to hold our island in case we draw a Snarl. Yeah, there's a 2-drop. And we shock the Robber. Not too bad, not too bad. Another opt, so I'm really hoping we can opt into a land. So we can go opt into Entity. Okay, Professor. Not... I mean, it's not horrible, but if we see a Winota, we're about to be very sad on turn 4. At least the opponent didn't have a 1-drop. Okay. There's a 1-drop. I could have also opted to see if I would have hit a shock first, but my number one priority is land. Command is definitely not it. We have one of those, and it's further away. Cool. Okay, dispute. Well, we have land, but it's another red land. So I think we just pass and hold everything open. If the opponent goes for Winota, I can dispute it. And if not, we can use command. And that's not horrible. They go for a Blade Historian. Still a worthy mystical dispute if you ask me. We take 3 instead of 6. And the opponent loses their double striker. Okay, nice, nice. Now we can play the iteration, and if we don't hit another blue land, we can just play the entity. Or we can opt into entity and feel safer about it. I kind of like using iteration here and using all our mana this turn. And then using the ops to beef up the entity. Okay, so which cantrip do we want? I guess more opts, right? I mean, we get to spread our mana out more evenly if we take the crash through. So crash through, library, exile. We can't just have a million blue sources, so I think crash through is a fine take there because we have so many opts. Okay, entity down, crash through and sprite dragon. I think we take sprite dragon, not crash through, because even though cantrips are good, we have 3 right here. I can have a pretty explosive next turn, where okay, Spellbinder. Next turn will be less explosive. Opponent will probably take command. Yep. Not a crazy shock there. Yep, and opponent's holding back. Okay. So I can play Sprite Dragon, play Crash Through, and just attack with everything. I don't hate that at all. So, land. Sprite Dragon. Oh, I could have also played my land after, in case I drew a Snarl here. Gonna main phase the Crash Through because I literally have to. Hey, look at me. It rhymes, and the opponent scoops it up. They know what's coming. They know the double opt, beefing everything to the sky, is on its way. Okay, we're on the play. I'm missing that. Hand is really good. So we can go Snarl into an opt or a shock, depending on what the opponent has. Turn 2 Sprite Dragon, turn 3 probably iteration, and we'll see from there. Wind Robber. We can shock that before the opponent will be able to draw a card off of it. Get our Sprite Dragon down. Only 1 card in the yard, so hopefully can't just get removed by Drown right away. Ruin Crab. And tapped Castle. Okay. So, if we hit a land off the opt, we get to play Entity. Interesting. Or I can play Iteration, try to find land, then we probably can resolve Entity, or we can try to resolve an Entity next turn. And if that gets countered, then we keep building up the Sprite Dragon. I think this is just safer. We have 3 looks at a land. Yeah. So we can go... I think I take the opt over the command. I mean, command isn't horrible, but it's very expensive, especially against rogues. So, hand, library, exile. Play out the mountain, play the crash through, beefs up the Sprite Dragon. And that's a tap land, but it's also a man land. So, worst case scenario, we have land 4. Hitting your lands in this deck is pretty important. Okay, Demilich. That cleans up the yard. And the opponent just casts the Drown. Okay. No problem there. So, how do we want to do it? We need more blue to actually escape this thing because of this red land. So I think I just opt for now. Into a Snarl? No, I don't think Snarl's necessary. We'll find more blue mana at some point. Now I can go Entity. And we can scry. I mean, put the lands to the bottom, I guess. And we can play tap land. Just to get it out of the way. I know it gets us further away from actually casting this Lich. Like, hard casting the Lich. But I feel like we're going to need our mana at some point. Okay, so I can animate this land. I don't think that's very good, though. Do I just try to get in there? With an opt, and then I can play this? Maybe we opt main phase. Just one for now. And I'll hold the other opt. Just see what we find. We have a couple of things that I'm happy to play at sorcery speed, like Sprite Dragon. And we're probably going to opt anyways, like in combat. I don't have to bottom a Sprite Dragon just because I didn't want to opt beforehand. I do really need more blue. Okay, the opponent clings. Clings out my Demilich. Gaining some life. Bone Crusher Giant. Now I don't need that. The opponent has 3 toughness creatures. Iteration. Iteration's interesting because if I iteration into a land, then I get to cast my other entity. And I think that's worth it here. If the opponent counters my iteration with like a dispute, and they don't, so we can go hand, library, exile. Untapped Snarl. Hit the opponent for 5. Yeah, I was gonna say, if they dispute that, then we can still just play Island into Entity. Double Entity seems really cool. Don't really need those cards. If I found Demiliches, I'd keep them on top, assuming the opponent's gonna mill me. So a bunch of land and Bone Crusher Giants at the bottom. Opponent, I was gonna say, not many reasons to main phase that. Of One Mind is one of them. Opponent's definitely on the mill plan. There is no question about that. And we are hard on the entity plan. It looks like. If I animate this, costs me like all my mana. I think I'm better off just attacking. Now, main phase opt or not? I think we main phase it. Again, there's so many cards I'm willing to cast for cheaper. Brazen Borrower. Does that do anything? It bounces this to the hand, and they take 10. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. I'm gonna play this out first. Yep. Sets them back some mana. If I had 2 more spells there, they'd be dead. Now, what do we cast? Lich, Entity, or Borrower? I think Borrower, just because it's instant speed, right? Like, if they go for that weird board wipe thing, Crippling Fear, then we still have a threat. Instead of just having all our creatures die to Crippling Fear. Opponent going for that Turbo Mill. Yeah, at least no Fabled Passage. And we find another Lich. That's pretty sweet. Wind Robber. Okay. 4 mana, opponent might have Into the Story. Cast the Borrower. Interesting spot. I can animate the Den. And if I do... Like, okay, I'll play land. Let's say we animate the Den. That's 5 mana. We only have 2 left over. They can flash this in and block. So they have, like, block here, block here. They take 3. They have to chump the land and the 1/1. Or I could just start reanimating the Lich. I think we just keep pressuring them with the land, though. We attack with everything. If the opponent wants to trade with the borrower, they can. If they want to draw the card, they can. Thought Thief? Sure. What's it gonna be? Third Thought Thief? That would actually be pretty bad. But it does not play around me having one spell. And we can tap the Den, make the 1/1. The Thought Thief can eat it, but that means it's not blocking anything else. So I'm banking on them not having one more Thought Thief. Okay, free block, but that means, yeah, free block, that's fair. But we still get to keep the 1/1. Okay, opponent's chumping with the Wind Robber. Chumping there. No? Throwing away Ruin Crab. Okay, slowing down my Milk Clock. And they have to block with, they have to block the Stormwing entity, right? Because if they don't block the entity and I have any interaction or any instant or sorcery, they're just dead to the entity. And I think they know that, but they want to trade away for my borrower. So I don't know. If they're paying attention to how priority passed, maybe they're not gonna do that. Oh, opponent does not care about me potentially having one more spell, or they have like a Heartless Act to deal with the entity. They have a Drown, okay. Close enough. Now they sack the Wind Robber. Opponent falls to 1. Interesting spot. We have plenty of burn spells, and I know a lot of them are at the bottom of the deck. We have Command, double Bone Crusher Giant, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, how close are we getting to the burn spells? How many shocks do we have in the deck? I know Untapped isn't working right now. There's 1 shock, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. No more shocks. And opponent scoops it up. They can't deal with our board. Alright. So, I mean, we're pretty likely to, at some point, draw a 2-mana burn spell, even if the opponent can deal with my board. We, like I said, we still have the Bone Crusher Giants and the Prismari Command. And, I mean, as long as we don't get milled out, we have gas for days here with the Liches and the entities.